Hello, I'm Ed Robinson and welcome to Ringside Toe to Toe, a boxing podcast exclusive to skysports.com and Sky Sports News Radio. In the opposite corner to me, as always, is promoter and former light middleweight fighter Spencer Fearon. Hello, Spencer.
Hello, Edward.
Well, one place to start this week with the shock weekend news that David Haye is out of his big heavyweight fight against Tyson Fury after sustaining a cut in sparring. A lot of conspiracy theories, Spencer, and some people saying that...
he cut himself.
He cut himself. Is that nonsense?
Come on, let's be realistic. Did you see, it was on Sky News, you were up in Liverpool and I heard the news and I was texting you, because Ed's the man. If you want to know any little gossips, you have to harass Ed. I will put out Ed's phone number, the other one, not the one that his beloved wife got. I'll put that out on Twitter. Ring Ed, don't ask me no questions no more, right? I'm tired of you lot. But now, on the reals... No, it wasn't. It was a genuine cut. You could see how demoralised David Haye was when he was saying, like, the fight's off. He wanted to cry because I know David Haye was...
He's done all the hard training, isn't he? He's invested in sparring partners, people like Deontay Wilder over here, Richard Towers, and it was sparring with the Croatian gentleman who we saw in the gym last week. 6'6",
so the Croatian, sorry, what was his name?
I can't pronounce his name, but he was a big, tall, strong guy.
That guy, I thought he was Asian. I thought, because he was very, very dark skinned, but he was just like really, really polite. And when you see a big guy at that size who's really polite, they're dangerous kind of people anyway. And he was cut on the left eye.
Yes.
So it could have been a left hook.
Or an elbow.
Or an elbow. Adam Booth was saying like he didn't notice. He saw some brown substance and didn't realise that it was a cut. Same thing with Gary Logan. Gary Logan said, look, it's one of those things, and they were upset. And I know for a fact, I know they were taking Tyson Fury seriously, but generally within like the higher echelons of boxing, people were looking at this as a bit of a joke fight, and they were kind of banking on David Haye getting old. But you can never write off Tyson Fury. These things happen. Look throughout boxing history.
Well, we saw David Haye last week in the gym, didn't we? We went down there for the open media workout, and he looked in great shape, didn't he?
Come on, that was impressive.
He was really impressive, and he has been cut in sparring before. He was cut in sparring before the Ruiz fight. I think they kept it secret. He couldn't spar. It affected his performance a little bit, but he still got the job done. So we know he's susceptible to cuts. He got cut against Fragamini as well, didn't he, when he was a cruiserweight?
Yeah, I mean... each time when David Haye continued, that was for the European title, right, against Fragamini. That was 2007. Every time like big fights come up, when everyone's saying, "Oh, you're stupid to be sparring at this time," or blah blah blah, so close to a fight, go back in history. This day today, September 25th. You know what fight should have happened on this day?
George Foreman against Muhammad Ali.
You see, you're a clever man. You got too much knowledge right now. You're hanging around with me. Yeah, George Foreman should have fought Muhammad Ali on the 25th of September, and the fight got cancelled. This is 39 years ago. The fight got cancelled for 5 weeks because George Foreman sustained a cut sparring a guy called Bill McMurray. Bill McMurray was a guy who could jet around the ring, similar to Muhammad Ali. And if you watch. What's that famous documentary? When We Were Kings, you could see him sparring with George Foreman. He used to run around, really, really decent fighter. Sonny Liston knocked him out, and so did Floyd Patterson. But please, anyway, you guys, go and watch this guy, Bill McMurray. He was very, very good, very technical fighter. And he cut George Foreman. And that fight got postponed. And if you look through history, when the things get postponed, but you have been the one that has sustained the injury, when the fight does get rescheduled, it never seems, history tells you, it never goes on the favour of the guy that got injured. But, it's going to be rescheduled February the 8th, right?
Yes.
So we ain't lost that much, and it's going to be a great way to bring in a new year.
Well, the Haymaker Gym has been the focus of attention, really, hasn't it, over the last week with the news about George Groves splitting with Adam Booth. And we now know he's going to work with Paddy Fitzpatrick.
Good trainer.
Good trainer, isn't he?
Good trainer.
I think most boxing fans would recognise him from the pork pie hats working around the Haymaker Gym. I think he was handing up to Adam Booth during the James DeGale fight, and he worked with Jamie Cox, the Swindon prospect before.
That's where I knew him from. I knew him from Jamie Cox. I think Jamie Cox boxed on the Deborah show a couple of times, and like you know these guys through the industry. And it's weird because I didn't know he's Irishman. You know what I mean?
Paddy Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, no, I never heard his name. I used to, seriously, it never dawned on me that he was an Irishman until I spoke to him. And like, I always seen with his pork pie hats on, so I always thought he was going to be like an East End, all right, son, I got. But no, he's actually a nice guy, and he's a very well-learned man. He was around Freddie Roach, he was around Buddy McGurk, so he's had a wealth of knowledge. And the thing when you're around knowledge, you have to raise your game. So he's risen his game, and he knows George. So George is comfortable with him. I thought they were going to use Gary Logan, but, you know, Who else were they going to use? Joe Gallagher? He was going to travel that distance, you know, and, you know, fair play. It doesn't matter who's going to be in his corner, because at the end of the day, he's going to have to fight a man that really wants to hurt him. And I'm being real. Carl Froch wants to damage George. I've never seen Carl Froch this pumped up to want to hurt somebody. Never, ever. So it's going to be a great fight, man.
Well, talking of Groves, there were fireworks at a press conference last week to announce his super middleweight clash against Carl Froch. Tempers frayed, but you can rely on Froch's trainer Robert McCracken for a calm breakdown of the fight.
Yeah, no, just looking forward to it. Obviously, Carl's been doing the dancing programme, but he's coming out of it now, so we'll have a 10-week run-in, which is plenty of time. But we've already trained for 2 weeks. Carl's worked hard for 2 weeks, and he did a couple of weeks of prep before he came in. So he'll be in tremendous shape November the 23rd. And I think some of George Groves' comments have irritated him, to say the least. So he'll prepare diligently, and he'll leave no stone unturned to deliver a spectacular performance for all the British public and obviously the Manchester crowd. You know, he's been undervalued for way too long in the UK. He's starting to get his credit, which has been long overdue. But he's a tremendous boxer, tremendous fighter, and it's just great to be involved in a British fight where, you know, the opponent's unbeaten, young, cocky, believes in himself, but you know, it'll all unfold on the 23rd. It'll be great drama, and one thing I can guarantee you is Froch will be spectacular on the 23rd.
Is that the one thing that was missing off of his CV? When people talk about Eubank and Ben, it was because it was domestic rivalry. And Carl's been on the road, but you've not got that all-British world title clash that we've seen in previous years. So is this the one thing that was missing?
Potentially, it'll be, you know, we'll determine George Groves' worth on the 23rd if he's up to it, or if he isn't. That'll be found out for him on the 23rd. But you know, Ben and Eubank, etc. They're all, you know, they were big names when they fought each other. And I don't know, in the first fight, Eubank wasn't as such, but there'd been a big build-up and a lot of drama moving into the fight. But this is George's chance. You know, he's unbeaten. He believes in himself, and you know, unbeaten fighters are dangerous. So Carl will train diligently, and he'll prepare as if he was fighting, you know, a Kessler, a Ward, a Butte, whoever, and he'll deliver like he always does, and it'll be a great spectacle, and you know, it'll be tremendous for British boxing.
It was no secret in the build-up to Carl's fight with Mikael Kessler that George went across and sparred Kessler, and that perhaps got under Carl's skin a little bit. Is that one of the things that, you know, he still holds against George?
I just think that you know, he's fought at the level that he's fought at for 5 years now. Carl, it's 5 years since he boxed Jean Pascal, and you know, he's fought back-to-back elite fighters for the last 5 years. So I think what irked him a little bit was a touch of disrespect coming through in Groves' comments when, you know, you consider he's not really done anything at the minute, and then some of the comments he was saying about Carl. I think that's what's really disappointed Carl. But the reality is he doesn't give George Groves a second thought. He'll just prepare extremely hard, extremely tough, and he'll work very hard, because what he really cares about is performing and delivering a performance for the boxing public, the British public, and the world of boxing, and that's what he'll intend to do, is to not only win the fight but produce a great performance.
The two of them have sparred up in Sheffield though, but is it one of those things where sparring and you don't read in too much to that?
Yeah, sparring, you know, it's a long time ago, you know, three years ago I think George was inexperienced, etc. And you know, sparring. Carl's an average sparrer anyway, so you know, you wouldn't be really reading much into sparring with most fighters, to be honest. It's all about on the night, and it's about the fight. You know, smaller gloves, no head guards, etc. And you know, where it really matters. And then Carl Froch comes to the front like he always does, and he will again in November at the Phones for You Arena. It'll be a tremendous night. It'll be great for British boxing, and you know, Carl Froch will perform. There's no doubt about that.
Our reporter Andy Scott asking the questions there. He's a calm guy, Robert McCracken. He doesn't really shout his mouth off. I know he was quite motivated because I don't think he's particularly keen on Adam Booth. But
Why?
still,
Why?
I don't know. There's some history there or something like that. But he goes ahead. He goes up against Paddy Fitzpatrick. But Carl's got to have a big psychological edge, hasn't he, knowing that he dropped Groves in sparring, something that George Groves has admitted to. He's admitted on our show before that before a recent fight he got dropped in back-to-back spars by different guys.
That don't mean nothing because you got dropped in sparring. You know what I mean? How many great fighters have been dropped in sparring? Lennox Lewis got dropped in sparring by what's the guy's name who used to look like Evander Holyfield a little bit.
Jeremy Williams.
Yep, and Ross Purity, not Jeremy Williams. Ross Purity allegedly, through good sources, Julius Francis, former British and Commonwealth heavyweight champion,
Stitch
told
him
me. Right, that's right. Julius told me that he dropped, like Lennox Lewis got dropped in sparring by Ross Purity. So what? So
I watched John Ruiz outbox Lennox Lewis in sparring. Sparring.
yeah, exactly. What would Lennox Lewis have done to John Ruiz? John Ruiz would have got knocked out in 2 rounds by Lennox Lewis. Let's be realistic. But sparring. I'm not. Maybe it's psychological games.
But Rob McCracken says that Carl's not a great sparrer. That's the worry a little bit.
Well, you know, number one is this. Robert McCracken's actually one of the nice guys. So for Robert McCracken to say like he's got some disparity against somebody else it is kind of strange, because Robert ain't got a bad word to say about no one. Robert is for himself, like, you know what, I just want to look after my kids and my wife. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
So
He almost came to blows with Howard Eastman, didn't he, before they fought? That was the only time I've ever seen him really
yeah,
lose
but
his cool.
you know what? Come on, man. I've heard that you used to live with Howard, didn't you?
Yes.
Right. So you and Howard Eastman. I heard that you two came to blows. Let's get to the bottom. No, don't try to hide it. Come tell the people the rules. Tell people the rules, Ed. Didn't you try to come to blows with him?
No, I would.
I heard it was over a jar of Marmite and he said he liked it. You said you never, and then you came to blows. But let's forget about that. Don't worry about it.
Well, thanks, Spencer. For the full extended podcast of Toe to Toe, tune into Sky Sports News Radio, or to download it, go to www.skysports.com/podcast.
Watch all 6 Sky Sports channels on your mobile and online.